because guess what? When you graduate, there are 10,000 other people graduating with your degree. And so if you can communicate professionally in your field, you add value to your degree. And so today we have two speakers who are I almost said Texas Tech, that's where I came from, but who are OLU graduates. Our first speaker, Carlos Garza Medrano, was one of our very first technical writing minors, and he took a psychology degree, and he graduated last year with a Master of Educational Professional Counseling from the University of Georgia, which is a Tier 1 research university. And now he has entered his professional field and is working towards licensure, getting his licensing in counseling. And so um, another speaker, Stephanie Sanders, is a grants manager for Colorado, and she also graduated from OLU, took a Master of Arts in our English program. So professional writing is a way to make a living. It's a way to enhance your living. And so if anyone has any questions about the professional writing program, you can email me or Dr. Zepeda. We check our email all through the year, including the summer. So if you want to reach out, you can reach out. And we will tell you about the program. And now I will hand it off to Kat Sanchez. I have to go to class, to teach literature, which I do as well. So everyone else, thank you for attending. Have a great day. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, Dr. Sanborn. My name is Catalina Sanchez. If you don't already know, after these past 3 days, I just want to tell everyone good morning and thank you for joining us for the last day of the Mass Conference. I just want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, please follow our Instagram account, and there will be a Instagram story sticker for your questions. Our user is at mass.conference. If not, you can ask your questions via WebEx, which is a program that we're using today. That being said, it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the last day of the conference, Carlos Garza. Carlos was raised in Garland, Texas, which is a small town in Dallas. He got his Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology at OLU, an OLU alum. He went on to get his master's degree in Professional Counseling at the University of Georgia. His future goals are to get a doctorate degree in counseling so that he may teach at a university level and become a supervisor. Today, Carlos's session is called Hard Days Ahead, Forging a Focused Mind. So without further ado, please take it away, Carlos.
I appreciate all the introductions. So I mainly wanted to talk about opportunities that they kind of work out in a weird way in life. And sometimes how like making those decisions kind of lead you to like a really good outcome. So I'm sure, as y'all know, being a student is really hard. Everybody kind of experiences their own stressors while in college. For me, in my freshman year, it was kind of being homesick away from family, and because that family part was taken, like, I guess, apart from me, I had to really figure out who I wanted to be as a person, who I was. But for the most part of the freshman year, I felt lonely, a little bit down, and I'm sure a lot of college students have felt that way for one reason or another. But years later, when you think about those days, right, you kind of see them in a better light. My freshman year, during my first semester, my art appreciation class, I met a guy who I'd call my best friend, one of my best friends, who's like a brother to me. Now it's kind of hard to imagine what life would be like without him. Another small positive thing that happened was that I took English 1 with Dr. Zepeda. Coming from a Mexican background, I kind of thought, oh, I'm not good at English. English, it really wasn't my thing. Reading and English in general, that's something I'm not good at. But if you ever had Dr. Zepeda as your instructor, then you'd know she's one of the best, I guess, high women out there. She kind of gave me a push to be more easier on myself, and kind of, she was a confidence boost for me. And I started to think, hey, maybe I can succeed in English. Um, I think during the second semester, I decided really wanted to major in psychology, and I wanted to minor in English because I felt like at the time I thought to myself, maybe psychology involves some kind of literature, and I have to learn, I have to prove my understanding of the English language. Uh, I figured it contribute a lot to my psychology field. Uh, I think one of the first few courses I took was the fundamentals of technical writing with Dr. Zepeda. Uh, I figured if I met somebody like Dr. Zepeda from the English department, I felt like the whole English faculty would kind of be like that, kind of help me ways to improve myself, not just professionally, but personally as well. Um, my memories of fundamental writings, technical writing, was that we had to do a service learning component. And I do not remember the organization I worked with, but we had to design a brochure for them, um, alongside with two other people in the class. Uh, and we succeeded in making a brochure for them. It kind of gave me an insight of how business works, how people promote themselves, um, what kind of language to use, because like Dr. Sambor said before, every single type of field out there uses their own specific literature. Um, that's especially true for psychology. Uh, we use more When you're in the counseling field, we use more person-centered terminology. We don't refer We do rely on scientific facts, but we do not refer to a person as, a statistic. We refer them as an individual, unique individual that has their own unique needs, um, where we collaborate to work, um, to make a treatment plan that works out. It accomplishes our goals as the counselors and the goals as the person wants as a client. Um, I thought to myself, well, that was a good experience in fundamentals of technical writing. I felt like maybe I should take other courses from that minor. Um, it wasn't until I believe senior year. Uh, I remember at the time I've heard rumors about Dr. Sanborn and how he was a difficult professor. Um, so I was kind of hesitant to take some of his classes, I think, but I ultimately ended up taking American literature too. I ended up taking technical editing and writing because I thought to myself, maybe this is another chance for me to improve myself professionally and personally. Um, I ended up taking this class, and I got to know Dr. Sambor as a person, as a professor. His classes were hard, but the thing about Dr. Sanborn was that he cared about students who put an effort into their work. Um, he made time. He makes time for his students to go over essays, see what they can improve on, see what they are good at right now, and build up on that foundation. Um, I would set up meetings with him. He took the time to know me as a person. We took the time to how to improve my writing skills. I felt like what I benefited most from technical editing and writing is that when I took my master's degree, there was a lot of APA style writing. Um, and I can't really say I remember my my major course of psychology where we really talked about what APA format looks like. I think where I learned more about it was from Dr. Sanborn, Dr. Zepeda's classes. At the time, Dr. Luker's classes, where I got to learn more about APA format and how literature looks like in the psychology field. In the master's degree, I felt like we were just throwing in there. We weren't taught that much about APA. We just knew we had to write in APA format. I think my cohort, I knew how to write in APA format, which was a relief. That was a less added stressor when I was taking my graduate program. Most of the people from my cohort would usually go to me for help when it came for APA format, and that felt pretty good. On the other side of that, formats also update. I don't know how frequently, but I believe APA has updated recently, within the recent couple years, compared to like 5-7 years ago. Writing's always changing. You got to know what the literature looks like in every field. With counseling, when it comes to literature, you want to understand, if you're a group of counselors and you know who you're working with. Let's just say, in my case, I'm working with children and adolescents. I have to develop a recovery plan. I have to develop how is this person going to recover? How does recovery look like for them? I have to write it in a way that children and adolescents understand, the way I understand it, the way other counselors can understand it. Because if there's like inconsistencies, if there's dialect that we do not understand, it's kind of like there's a lot of miscommunication and you're not going to get anything done. When it comes to relationship and it's collaborative, you want to be on the same page. You don't want to be all over the place. If one person wants to work on this and you're thinking of another thing, you're kind of going in two separate directions and you're kind of being counterproductive. That's part of the reason why literature is so important. And if you think about it in the work field as well, even something simple like policies, right? You don't want to leave it up to interpretation. You don't want any misunderstandings. You want to be coherent, precise, understandable. That way everybody is on the same page. It goes back to like a company's goals. What is their vision? What is their mission? Are you doing work that accomplishes that vision and mission? One of the biggest things I got out of those technical editing and writing classes, fundamentals, is I think the relationship with Dr. Sanborn was very beneficial. He was a mentor to me. I learned a lot of things about APA from him. I learned more about writing and editing from him. I think more than that, he kind of helped me grow personally. And he definitely helped me grow a lot professionally. When you think of opportunities, you don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes it's easy to stick to your comfort zone. You don't know what's going to happen. You really don't want to take a risk. But sometimes I encourage you to try to take that going out of your comfort zone to learn something new. Those rumors about Dr. Sanborn being hard, he came off as intimidating, yeah. But in the long term of things, he was somebody I can look up to. He was somebody I went to for advice, professionally, personally. He was somebody who helped me get into graduate school because I did ask him for a letter of recommendation. Because I developed that relationship with him, he helped me get into graduate school. He helped me get one step towards my dream, to becoming a counselor, being able to help people out. I think the faculty at home, their English staff, is probably one of the best professors I've ever worked with. They really do care about the development, personally and professionally. Dr. Zepeda gave me that personal boost, up my self-esteem. Dr. Sanborn helped me accomplish a lot of things professionally. Even now, I ask him for references when it comes to work. So there's a lot of things to be gained, trying new things out in life. Um, it's hard for me to imagine what life would be like if I never went to Olu. If I never went to Olu, I would have never met his friends who's like a family. I would have never met somebody like Dr. Zepeda or Dr. Sanborn. I'm just beating the dead horse at this point. But yeah, uh, they really did help me grow. Um, so that's why I encourage y'all, seek out opportunities. You never know when a decision you make may have great outcomes. Sometimes it may not work. It may not work out, but
Hey, Carlos, you're kind of cutting off a little bit. Carlos, can you hear me?
opportunities open to me in case if something like counseling didn't work out for me, I can fall back on becoming a technical editor. Uh, I still remember the skills I have when I learned in Dr. Sanborn's classes. I even still use that whenever I'm doing work when it comes to literature. Um, I also took Dr. Speda's grant writing classes, and those grant writing is a huge thing to nonprofit organizations. And right now, I work for one um, that also presents you an opportunity to do something new, grant writing for a nonprofit. Uh, and it even gives you a chance in case you wanted to do your own nonprofit, you have a chance to do grant writing for yourself. Um, everybody's unique, and there could be a person who wants to do that, wants to start their own nonprofit for grant writing skills. You kind of give yourself that chance. Um, hey, I can do this. This is when I want to start. I have the skills to start it. The only thing I need is, looking for a team who can help me out. Pretty much, it helps out in some way or form. Um, for me, it just happened to be that way. All those things that I mentioned. If I did wanted to start a nonprofit, uh, as a counselor, I think that is a possibility in the future. I do not know, but when I think a lot of families from a low economic background not being able to receive mental health services because they can't afford it, uh, it kind of seems sad to me that they can't receive those services. That's something I can do in the future. When it comes to it, kind of comes down to like you're kind of giving yourself more options. Um, I know another thing I benefited from meeting Dr. Sanborn and Dr. Speta is they kind of inspire me to become a professor just like them. Um, you never know what you're going to get out of it. I felt like I've gained a lot just from monitoring in that professionally, but I think I'm most thankful for it personally because there's a lot of growth. Uh, counselors used a term called a growing edge, I believe, or learning curve. There's a lot of different terminology for it, but basically what it comes down to is that um, when you're most outside of your comfort zone, the closer you are to something uncomfortable, that's where you learn the most. And I feel like when I was in college, graduate school, I had to go outside of my comfort zone. being in San Antonio rather than Dallas, my family's at, was really out of my comfort zone. Going all the way to Georgia was really out of my comfort zone. But I felt like, reflecting back on it now, I gained a lot just for taking those chances, taking those risks, taking those opportunities. Um, I felt like I became a better person. I felt like I've healed better as a person from from everything I experienced in the past. Um, right now, I'm a pretty good place. I have a job relevant to my field, um, and I'm sure those skills that I learned as a technical minor can come in handy whenever the opportunities present themselves. Like I said, I work on a nonprofit, and they do grants, so there's a chance for me to go ahead and try that out, be able to help them out if if the opportunity ever presents itself. Um, kind of every now and then you need to take a risk. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Take those opportunities, because in the future, 5 years from now, uh, they could very well like impact your life in a huge or small way. Um, and that's what I felt like. That's what I felt like um, when I decided to minor in English. That's what I felt like just going to Ole. Because I gained a lot of, yeah, I gained a handful of lifelong friends. I felt like I met professors who care for my well-being, um, who want to see me grow, and in every sense of the word. Um, and even now, I maintain those relationships. But I still every now and then I tell Dr. Zepeda or tell Dr. Sanborn what my future goals are, and they're always excited for me. Um, and it feels great to have that support. Um, when it all comes down to it, it like I said before, it's hard to imagine life without Open because there's a lot I gained out of going there from taking those technical editing and writing classes, um, taking grant writing, taking fundamentals. Um, if I did not take that chance, I would have never met Dr. Speder, Dr. Sam. Um, and I've already emphasized how strong and meaningful those relationships. I think uh, I think that's about all I have to say.
Well, thank you, Carlos. We do have, I believe, Kat. I'm not sure if Kat can hear me, but we do have some questions. I know we have some questions on Instagram. So, Kat, can you read those, please?
Yes, so we have a question from Danielle, and she asks, what is some advice you can give students about time management?
Time management. Um, I think this may sound weird, uh, but the first thing you have to prioritize is like self-care. Uh, self-care isn't doing the things you like. The reason I say that is because when you go to college, you can burn out really fast uh, if you don't take care of yourself. Some people, some people, I'm a workaholic too. I work a full-time job, a part-time job on the side. I always take the time to have one day off. Um, it looks different in everybody. I knew some people in Olu had full-time jobs and doing college. You you really do have to take care of yourself. Um, usually, time management looks different for everybody. For me, since I'm kind of a technical guy, I always use the agenda to plan out what am I doing every single day, or most of my work days. What am I doing on this day? How much free time I have during this time? Um, back in my Olu days, Since I was dorm student, I used to go back during lunch hour and take naps, like 20, 30-minute power naps, just to take care of myself, and I feel recharged for the rest of the day, be able to take classes, uh, keep a lookout for deadlines. I knew that these days I felt like, okay, this is what I want to work on. Uh, it also helps to change a little bit of your mindset from needing to wanting, because there is a difference between the two. Um, needing is kind of like needing is kind of like, oh man, I have to. Uh, it's kind of like a negative connotation to it. Whereas wanting it, oh, I want to do this so much because I want to pass this class. Uh, changing your mindset with those kind of things kind of help you feel more motivated for some of the work you
Thank you, Carlos. I think self-care, like AJ said, is one of the things that you need to watch out for, especially in college. We can be so consumed with schoolwork that we forget to take care of ourselves. But there's another question on the chat that asks, what would you say is the defining focus needed for a tech writing degree?
defining focus. I'm having a hard time understanding that question.
Let me this is from one of our students. His name's Kevin. Kevin, I'm gonna request to unmute you, see if you want to elaborate.
Is it also possible to turn y'all up, because y'all are kind of like whispering and it's kind of hard for me to hear.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. My name is Kevin Romine. I was just asking, like, kind of curious, is what would the passion be, or what would the hobby be that would bring you to an interest in tech writing?
Um, if it be for somebody like a hobby, it's something I might have to think about. Uh, I wouldn't say for me it's not much as a hobby as much as it is a trade. Um, I'm very precise with things. Uh, I'm not. I kind of consider myself laissez-faire style, but I also have that OCD component of me,
Mhm.
um, where like I want to get these things right, and it's even more double when you're passionate about English. If you like anything related to English, like writing, um, even writing down your own feelings is relevant to English. Uh, it's kind of like for me, I kind of want to do it. For me, the hobby would be I want to do the things the right way, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I hope that answers your question. I know that sounds weird.
Thank you for your question, Kevin. We have another question from Instagram. They ask, what skills at OLU prepared you for grad school?
For grad school, uh, I think the best thing I could say was goal setting. As high school, as a high school student, I really didn't have any goals in mind. Um, but OLU, going back to the conversation I had, uh, going through OLU, I said I had a better idea of who I wanted to be. Um, who I wanted to be, you learn from the faculty. Like they set their, I forgot what they're called. It's been a year. Syllabus. They break it down to objectives and goals. What they hope you can get out of this class. Uh, when you start getting into that mindset, you start to understand, what do I have to do to get to graduate school? What do I need? Uh, what kind of goals will help me get there? What kind of objectives will get me? When you're actually in grad school, that still kind of applies, because it goes back to self-management. organization. This is what I want to accomplish for the day. Uh, my internship, I worked with juveniles, so every single day, whenever I go in, I'd have to have a goal in mind. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. And you kind of have to break it down. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to work with today. This is how many people I want to work with today. Um, Knowing what kind of work you want to do. I want to have this objective with this person today. This one is kind of like basically when it comes down to it, goal setting, objectives, and remembering what the long term reward from this is. Because doing 2 years in graduate school was pretty hard, and I worked a part time job on the side. But I keep on thinking to myself, this is what I want to do. I'm very serious about counseling. This is what I want to do. Uh, Kind of help me with motivation.
And speaking of grad school, in the chat, a girl named Amber, she asked, how did you deal with going to college so far away from your family? Did you get involved with organizations to dull the homesickness?
I did two things. Actually, three things. Uh, I lived in Athens, which is like an hour and a half away from Atlanta. And my aunt and my cousins lived in Atlanta. I think every now and then uh, I would go to them. I would try to make the time from work, from school, to try to go visit them once in a while. Because for me, that was my source of connections. And I developed a really close bond with my older cousin, which I never thought would happen, like going back years ago. Um, that was one thing that I did. Second thing I did was kind of connect with my peers because the way our graduate school was set up, there was a cohort. Within this cohort, I'd be taking the same classes, mostly the same classes, other than electives for the next 2 years. So every now and then we go out, hang out, um, to places, kind of explore Athens. The third thing I did was kind of like I seriously took therapy because if you're a counselor, some programs kind of encourage you to go to therapy, um, just so you can see what it's like to be on the other side instead of being the helper. Um, that really helped me a lot. Uh, it was kind of my form of self care too. Uh, you know, dealing with homesickness is kind of hard, but having another person who's completely devoting their time to you, and then just listening to you, helping you with the issues you have, it felt great. And for some people who move somewhere where they don't have family around, I do encourage y'all to join like a special interest group. Like for me, I'm into anime, I'm into video games. It wasn't until my senior year at Olu where I joined a video game club and I made a lot of great friends there. I really do encourage y'all to like just do something you're interested in because you need that social connection. I'm a shy person, a little bit of a loner, but I still like to interact with people. I still love being around people. Um, that's just something everybody needs. I feel like they need. Some people can go without it, but if you're not one of those people, then I pretty much encourage you go out and join an organization relevant to your interests.
Thank you. And we have a question from Carlos. What advice would you have for someone who wants to do freelance writing? What path should one take?
For freelance writing, um, that's something I don't have much experience with. But for what I do know is, um, I think some companies list like freelancing opportunities on there. Um, it's kind of like I'm sure the market isn't short because when you're a business or company, you kind of need, depending on what you are, you kind of need a freelancer writer. Um, I say that because well, some companies will be always developing a documents of some kind. Could be policies, could be newsletters, things like that. Um, if I had to, since I'm foreign to this, if I had to do something, like if that was something I wanted to do, I'd probably I'd personally probably try to reach out to companies to see if they need a freelancer. Um, I think that's the best thing I can say because I don't know much about the topic. I think somebody like Dr. Sanborn would know more about it.
And Carlos, if you have the other Carlos, if you have any more questions about freelance writing, feel free to contact Dr. Sanborn to answer your questions if you're interested. So we have time for 2 more questions. Like I said, you can either ask your questions on our Instagram story, or the chat. So we have one question on Instagram that says, what makes Olu unique and different?
I think to me, I felt like the English staff and the psychology staff were the best part about it. I don't have much experience with what other schools would be like, but I know the faculty. I know some psychology professors still work there from my time there. Um, the English staff too, Dr. Zepeda and Dr. Sanborn still obviously work there. Um, they will devote their time for you if you ask them. Um, they will get to learn more about you. Uh, it kind of helps out with that homesickness because you know you have a professor who cares for you. Um, for me, that was kind of like a foreign feeling. It's something that I didn't experience before. I've had a couple teachers in high school where, like, they cared for me, um, but not as much as support I felt like I had. Uh, Compared to old, I felt like I was lucky because I've heard other students' experiences from different departments, and it didn't go. It didn't seem positive, but I was thankful to have the English staff, the psychology staff, because I felt like most of them I developed a relationship with. I could ask them for help. To me, that was the unique experience.
Thank you. I also think that the relationship that we have with our professors are unique from Olu because it is that personable, that relationship. We have one more question from Instagram. And it says, what would you recommend someone who just started in tech writing as a junior?
Um, Advice, because I'm trying to think. Um, I think you're still in a good spot if you started as a junior. For me, I think my sophomore year, I only took one uh, tech class, fundamentals of technical and writing, and then senior year, that's still plenty of time. That's 2 years, roughly 4 semesters, give or take, maybe even more. Um, I think that's still enough time to really finish the minor in time because I think you have to what? You have to finish 9. You have to take 5 courses, I believe. Don't remember. Uh, but I think that's still 2 years is still plenty of time to get into it. The only thing is I'd recommend is getting something like fundamentals out of the way first so you can get a general idea how the other ones function. Um, if you plan to take something like grant writing, uh, I'd say, if possible, take it in the fall semester, because that's a very thorough class, because that's a lot of information to cover. Um, I definitely recommend taking something like technical editing and writing, uh, because that is, of all the courses I've taken, I think that's the most relevant to your work field. Because I think Dr. Sanborn also involves like different types of formats, like APA and things like that, Chicago style, etc. Um, I definitely take that class if it's definitely relevant to a field like psychology. I hope that answers your question.
Cool. Thank you, Carlos. Wow, it's truly inspiring to hear, previous students and guys, those that are tuning in and listening in. I mean, your careers are going to be here sooner than later. So, thank you so much, Carlos, for your time. I know you're a busy man. I know you're, working two jobs. Really appreciate the insight. I do agree with you 110% that self-care is the most important. You can't function at your best if you're not at your best. But I do have one question. Tell us, I guess, one of your scariest or I guess nervous moments with Dr. Sanborn. I'm sure someone can relate.
Yeah. um, this is it's been years, so let me dig. I think when I first met him uh, in class, I think it was American literature. No offense to Dr. Sanborn, I love him, but just looking at the way he looks, like, oh man, he looked like a grumpy old man. Uh, he is sarcastic too, and uh, like he established like guidelines for his first class, like this is what I want you to do when you write an email to me. I'm like, oh my God. Uh, but he does that out of care. He does that because, that's the professional way of doing it. Because, employers, you quickly find out, yeah, they have a certain way of doing things. Uh, so that's probably my scariest experience with Dr. Sanborn. I think what really helped me grew attached to him is he used terms like Yoda talk. I don't know if y'all have ever heard him say that. Yoda talk is what he refers to as passive voice. Um, I think, just to give an example, let's just say I was given $50 by my brother. That's Yoda talk. It's kind of reverse. It's kind of like he kind of used those things like, oh, the proper way of saying it's my brother gave me $50. Uh,
Can you say that maybe the good cop, bad cop with Dr. Sanborn, Dr. Zepeda at first?
oh, yeah, I never thought of that, but thinking about it now that they do, do that kind of thing.
No, they're great. I do agree. I'm very blessed and very honored to work with some great people. But Carlos, if you don't mind sticking around for a little bit, I'm just gonna talk to the participants here. So again, as normal, a form fill out. I know some of you guys have to fill it out for your class. The next speaker will start at 11 o'clock. His name is David Carbajar, and he's from Defiant Motion Pictures. So the best way, he's working for, kind of a motion pictures, and he would describe it as if Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, created something, it would be Defiant Motion Pictures. So that will be at 11 o'clock. So please join in at 10:55. We'll see y'all in about 40 minutes. Carlos, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us. Um,
I, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, like a lot of I can speak for a lot of students that they really, you know, really appreciate insight from, from other students that have been here before, and especially you being an alumni, doing great things and going to the University of Georgia and kind of experiencing that and going through, uh, you know, talking about Dr. Sanborn and Candace Zepeda. I know that they're very insightful and very grateful. But but we really appreciate you stopping by. We hope this is virtual. We hope we can do this next year in person. So if you're possibly available, we'd love to at least have you come by and possibly meet some of the students and give some more insights and stuff like that. But we don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you got to go. But thanks again for what you've done. Hope you have a blessed day. And if there's any questions, you can keep in contact with myself or Professor Brown. Catalina Sanchez, she's a PR student here, so she's kind of been coordinating the event. But we really appreciate all that you've done and awesome insight into the career of tech writing.
Yeah, if any of the students have like questions they want to send me, you can just give them my email.
Yeah, I will. I was gonna send out after the conference to see if we want to share emails on the website. That way, students can kind of reach out. But we really appreciate it. I don't know if there's any questions for us or anything like that. We did record the session, so your session